Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unravel complex ideas into surprising insights. Today, we're embarking on, well, an extraordinary journey, tackling something so fundamental to our existence, yet, as our sources reveal, profoundly misunderstood. Gravity. We often think of gravity as the simple, familiar force, the invisible hand that keeps our coffee mugs on the table, our feet firmly planted on Earth, or majestic planets in their orbits around stars. But what if that conventional understanding is merely the most superficial layer of something infinitely more profound? We've assembled a collection of truly groundbreaking material for this deep dive, sources that don't just tweak existing scientific theories, but fundamentally challenge our conventional understanding of physics, consciousness, and even, the very fabric of reality itself. Our mission today is to explore a radically new physics of gravity. We're going to move beyond seeing it merely as a force to understanding it as an active observer, a cosmic world renderer, and ultimately the essential bridge that unifies physics, consciousness, and our personal experience into a single cohesive tapestry. Get ready to truly shift your perspective on everything you thought you knew about reality.
What's truly fascinating here, what makes these sources so compelling, is that this isn't simply an incremental adjustment to the equations of Newton or Einstein. Not at all. This is a complete reimagining of gravity's fundamental role. It proposes gravity as the primary governing force of the universe, not just in its dynamics, but in its very creation and maintenance. Envision it as, like the ultimate artist actively sculpting and shaping everything we perceive. The core premise, the real crux here, is that gravity isn't separate from quantum theory, but rather that quantum theory is simply gravity in its appearance. This links physics, consciousness, and experience into a single coherent framework, a concept the sources boldly term gravitational consciousness as the sculptor of reality. So we'll be looking far beyond the how of gravity, the descriptive equations that tell us what gravity does to the deeper why and the what behind it. Our goal for you today is to help you truly grasp the profound implications, to move beyond intellectual understanding to an intuitive grokking of this material.
Okay, let's dive right in then. From our earliest science lessons, we've been taught about gravity as a force, right? A simple pull between objects. It's the elegant explanation for why an apple falls from a tree, why the Earth faithfully orbits the sun. It's a fundamental tenet of our understanding of the physical world. But the material we're exploring today asks us to consider something far more profound, something that completely redefines that seemingly simple understanding. Here's where it gets truly transformative. What if gravity isn't just about things falling down, but about making things be in their specific organized forms? Think about that for a moment. If gravity were suddenly absent, you wouldn't just be floating weightlessly. The very structure of your body, the coherence of objects around you, the organized forms of stars and galaxies, they wouldn't exist. No gravity, no coherent structure, no stable appearance for consciousness to experience. It's a concept that truly reorients our fundamental assumptions about existence. The sources describe gravity not just as a force, but as the ultimate organizer and architect of reality. It's portrayed as a continuous, entangled, unbroken web of influence that pervades the entire cosmos. It's not a localized phenomenon, kicking in only when masses are close. It's everywhere, intricately weaving everything together into a coherent whole. And here's the most captivating part. Gravity is proposed as actively shaping everything that is perceived, even the subtlest nuances of what your mind is bending into perception right now. It's described as the ultimate artist, bringing all of reality into being moment by moment. This isn't just about the grand cosmic structures, it's about the very fabric of your moment-to-moment experience, the solidity of your chair, the colors you see, the sounds you hear. It's that fundamental.
Right. And to really deepen our understanding of gravity's ultimate identity, we need to distinguish what we've traditionally understood from what these sources are revealing. Newton's laws perfectly describe how masses attract, sure. And Einstein's general relativity beautifully explains how mass and energy curve space-time, dictating the dynamics of celestial bodies. These equations are remarkably effective, no doubt about it. However, as powerful as they are, they don't touch upon gravity's ultimate identity, its inherent why or what behind it. They describe what it does, but not what it fundamentally is. This new perspective goes far beyond understanding mere dynamics. It seeks to unravel the fundamental nature of existence itself. It posits that physics, consciousness, and experience itself are not separate domains, but are all deeply unified, with gravity acting as the essential, foundational bridge between them. Gravity isn't just a force. It's fundamentally the observer and the world renderer, the active mechanism through which all appearances become real for consciousness. It's the very act of manifestation itself. The sources elaborate on this by stating that space and time, which we usually conceive of as external, pre-existing containers for reality, are actually enfoldments of gravitational observation. Now, this is a crucial and radical departure. What does enfoldments mean here? It implies that rather than being a static backdrop, space and time are generated or constructed through the very act of gravity observing. And this doesn't just apply to space and time, but to all perceived phenomena. Objects, people, experiences, all of it. Our perceived reality, therefore, isn't something external that we passively encounter and measure. Instead, it arises from gravity's continuous, active observational process. It's like a grand cosmic act of generation, where observation itself is the creative engine. To make this tangible, the sources offer a truly evocative phrase: "I never moved, but the world holographically changed around me." This perfectly captures gravity's dynamic, active role in shaping our perceived reality. It shifts us away from the idea of a fixed, external reality that simply is, to one that is actively constructed and rendered in real time, moment by moment. The profound implication for you, the listener, is that there isn't an entirely objective, predefined reality out there waiting for you to stumble upon. Instead, reality is actively constructed, displayed, and brought into being by gravity, much like a cosmic projector is constantly rendering the universe onto the screen of our perception, with gravity being the very engine behind that ceaseless projection.
Wow, it's astonishing how this perspective reframes something we thought we knew so well. Just completely flips it. When we talk about the fundamental forces of the universe, the strong, weak electromagnetic and gravitational forces, gravity is almost always labeled the weakest of the four. It's a common perception taught in every physics classroom, right? But from the perspective we're exploring today, that apparent weakness is just that apparent. It's a matter of viewpoint. So what does this all mean for its true power? According to the sources, this apparent weakness is merely a matter of perspective, specifically a contracted perspective. It appears weak when you're looking at the subatomic scale, say, inside an atom. At that tiny level, the electromagnetic EM force, which binds electrons to the nucleus and holds atoms together, is exponentially stronger. The minuscule gravitational pulls between individual particles are utterly dwarfed by the powerful electrical forces at play. It's almost negligible down there. However, this perspective flips entirely when you broaden your view. Gravity's true domain of influence is not localized. It extends across the entire observable universe. Unlike any of the other forces, its reach is truly cosmic. The strong and weak nuclear forces operate at incredibly short subatomic distances, barely impacting anything beyond the nucleus, really tiny range. The electromagnetic force has a longer range, sure, but its effects often cancel out or are shielded on vast cosmic scales due to the balance of positive and negative charges. Gravity, by stark contrast, is the grand orchestrator. It holds galaxies together, shapes the largest structures of the cosmos, dictates the orbits of planets, the fusion processes within stars, and even the fate of black holes. This implies a vastly different scale of operation, a scale where gravity is not just powerful, but undeniably supreme in its overpushing influence. It's the force that binds the universe into the coherent structure we perceive.
Exactly. And this brings us to a crucial analytical point, the source's term perspective contraction. The real question isn't whether gravity is inherently weak. It's whether one's perspective is contracted into matter, focusing exclusively on the microscopic interactions within matter, rather than expanded to what is giving rise to the appearance of matter itself. When you look at the fundamental blueprint, the overarching design, gravity's power becomes undeniable. The sources clarify that gravity isn't about isolated particle-level interactions or a simple pull-tug by thing X on thing Y. No, that's the old view. Instead, it's about gravity's cumulative, omnipresent sculpting of the entire cosmos, a ceaseless, pervasive influence driving structure and organization from the very origin of the universe to its infinite reaches. It is the ultimate architect of all form and organization, from the smallest proton to the largest supercluster of galaxies. Its power lies in its ubiquity and its foundational role in establishing coherence. To help us truly grasp this, the sources offer a powerful illustrative analogy. Think of a video game. In any well-constructed video game, you need foundational elements to make the world coherent, right? The game needs gravity, acting as the console and the camera. Whether you're in a first-person or third-person view, gravity dictates how you move and how the world responds. It needs a light source, like stars or electricity within the game environment, to make objects visible. And of course, it needs a planet world with terrain, cities, characters, NPCs, for the game to be played within. The analogy posits that the universe operates similarly. Its very existence, its structural integrity relies on gravity. Without this fundamental gravity console, there would be no stars planets, no servers for the cosmic experience. A star and a planet, therefore, don't just happen independently, they codependently arise to make a server for the vacuum and architect of gravitational consciousness to enter and play within. This is a profound wisdom, suggesting that a planet cannot generate life or even exist in its present form without a star providing energy, and a star without a planet in a habitable zone cannot experience life in the same way. They need each other to create the server. This reorients our understanding of gravity from a mere localized interaction to a fundamental, all-encompassing medium that structures and organizes everything, from the largest cosmic structures to our very perception, making it the bedrock of all rendered reality.
That video game analogy really does help. It shifts the frame completely, makes you see gravity not as just in the game, but as part of the engine running the game. So if gravity is this all-encompassing architect, shaping everything from the cosmos to our perception and acting as the foundational console, then where do the other fundamental forces, the electromagnetic, strong nuclear, and weak nuclear forces, fit into this grand picture? We're accustomed to thinking of them as distinct entities, each with its own specific role and domain. How do they relate? The sources provide a very clear and elegant framework for understanding their relationship within this unified view. They introduce a crucial supermicro versus driving force distinction. The strong and weak nuclear forces are categorized as operating at supermicro distances we're talking about, incredibly tiny scales, binding atomic nuclei together, or mediating particle decay. Really, really small scale stuff. The electromagnetic force also operates significantly at this micro level, governing interactions between charged particles, but it's given a truly special foundational role in this new understanding, as we'll get into. Gravity, on the other hand, is firmly established as the singular, overarching, driving force for the dynamics of the entire universe. So this means that while the strong and weak forces are incredibly powerful within their minuscule domains, acting like the super glue holding the heart of atoms together or facilitating radioactive decay, their influence is precisely that, localized. They are forces working at distances measured in femtometers, truly microscopic, just inside the atom, basically. But gravity. Gravity is the orchestrator of black holes, the architect of galaxies, the sculptor of stars, and the designer of planets. It's the force that dictates the grand ballet of the cosmos, the sweeping narrative of the universe. So you have these supermicro forces, undeniably powerful in their specific contained context. But then you have gravity, which is the foundational force giving structure, coherence, and dynamics to absolutely everything at the macro level. It's the framework upon which all other interactions occur, making it utterly distinct in its scope and purpose.
Exactly. And building on that, the sources clarify that the other three forces are not separate or competing entities, but rather complementary to gravity. They represent what the sources term supermicro matter, which, when combined with supermacro gravitational consciousness, forms reality as we perceive it. They are, in essence, two sides of the same coin harmonized into what the sources call gravity quantum. This is a deeply insightful perspective, suggesting a unified underlying reality where these forces are not disparate, but different manifestations or aspects of a singular phenomenon. It's like looking at different facets of the same diamond, you know. To further unpack this, the sources offer a powerful and elegant metaphor. Gravity, canvas, consciousness, cosmos, infinity, space-time, and quantum, paint, stars, planets, servers, worlds, people, objects, experiences. This beautifully illustrates gravity as the foundational, all-encompassing medium, the very canvas upon which all observable phenomena, the quantum paint, are rendered. It's the ultimate stage upon which everything unfolds, the substratum of all existence. Within this incredibly elegant framework, the electromagnetic force takes on an absolutely special and primary role. It's described as the main or primary force that gravity uses to make appearances what they are. Gravitational cosmic consciousness structures, stars, planets, people, objects, and all experiences using the EM force, fundamentally mediated by light or photons. This leads to an elegant architectural insight, a profound wisdom. It makes perfect sense that a vacuum or void, an infinite vacuity called gravitational consciousness, would use light or photons to generate an electrical or sensate experience as its mind projection of worlds, objects, people, experiences. This is described as a perfect architecture, where the rendered appearance is geometrically structured by light, giving us form, shape, and visual perception, and simultaneously felt sensorially by electricity, giving us touch, warmth, texture, and all physical sensations. Our entire perception of reality, with its rich visual and tactile qualities, is intricately tied to this fundamental dance between gravity, light, and electrical sensation. It's how the paint gets its texture and color on the canvas. The strong and weak nuclear forces are then understood not as separate independent forces, but as just further forks of this one force into differing boxes. much like the Standard Model categorizes particles into different types based on their interactions. But they're still part of the paint, just maybe different pigments or binders. But ultimately, the sources conclude, with striking simplicity, it's just gravity in its rendered appearance. That's all there is. This statement powerfully reiterates the ultimate unification, reducing all perceived complexity to a singular, elegant principle.
Gravity and its rendered appearance. Wow. That really simplifies things, conceptually at least. So we've explored gravity as an architect, its profound relationship with the other fundamental forces, and how it acts as the canvas and the projector. Now let's bring in the ultimate unifying concept presented in our sources, a concept so central it's proposed to revolutionize our entire understanding: gravitational quantum consciousness. This phrase, according to the material, is presented as not just another theory, but as something that could effectively end the decades-long search for a theory of everything, turning everything from question into obvious clarity. It's positioned as a foundational understanding that shifts our entire perspective on existence, rather than just adding another layer to it. A big claim. Okay, let's truly unpack this. Gravitational quantum consciousness, or GQC, what is it? It's described as the fundamental, all-encompassing medium we exist within, and, crucially, as. It's presented not as an external force, but as an omnilocal network of unbroken connectedness of you, all things. Ooh, this isn't some abstract, distant concept for astrophysicists to ponder. It's described as the very fabric of our being, intricately linking you, me, and every single atom, star, and galaxy in the cosmos. Imagine a network where every point is not just connected to every other point, but is every other point. A continuous, unbroken web where separation is an illusion of perspective. That's the scale of GQC. For those of you who follow physics, consider how this stands in stark contrast to classical notions of separate particles or discrete fields. It proposes an inherent fundamental unity at the deepest level.
Yes, and to truly grasp the profound wisdom here, the sources stress the indivisible nature of GQC. You cannot speak gravity without consciousness, and you cannot say consciousness without gravity. This isn't just wordplay. It means that these two concepts are inextricably linked at their most fundamental level. Like two sides of a coin, you can't have one without the other. Furthermore, the sources insist that you cannot say consciousness without gravity and quantum. All three words, gravity, quantum, and consciousness, must be included together to understand what you, as consciousness, truly are. They are not separate concepts to be pieced together. They are fundamentally one and the same, co-arising and defining each other. It's a single, unified reality described by these three facets. GQC's role is far from passive. It is an incredibly active and dynamic force. It's described as the container and the structure for channeling quantum potential into rendered reality. It doesn't just provide the stage, the canvas, it gives the possibility for meaning, purpose, interaction, choice, and play within that rendered reality. This means GQC is the fundamental medium through which all the richness, complexity, and experiential depth of existence become possible. It's the reason anything can happen, not just how it happens. The sources further explain GQC as an incredibly sophisticated cosmic scale information processor. Think about that. It operates using a network of decohering qubits and entangled qubits as observer portals to decohere superpositions of possibility into one rendered video game outcome or appearance. Now, for those familiar with quantum mechanics, you know the qubits in traditional quantum computing represent information in quantum systems, and decoherence is the process where quantum states lose their coherence due to interaction with the environment. Okay. But here, the sources propose these qubits aren't just microscopic computational units. They are the fundamental potentialities of reality itself, all possible outcomes. And decohering isn't just a loss of quantum state, but the actual active process by which one of many possible realities collapses or manifests into a specific perceived appearance for consciousness. It's the rendering process. These entangled qubits as observer portals would be the very points of interconnected awareness, through which these possibilities are observed and thus rendered into existence. Observation is key. Gravity, in this sense, acts as the cosmic architect and accountant, constantly designing, processing, and taking stock of its creation, processing immense amounts of information to manifest reality moment by moment. This sophisticated process brings us to a powerful term introduced by the sources, the gravitational observers, or GO for short. The gravitational observers renders quantum potential into entangled reality. It's described as an infinite singularity, which itself is an entangled gravitational observers, probabilistically rendering appearances using information, geometry, and light. It's the ultimate source, the blueprint, and the active mechanism for absolutely everything we experience, perceive, and interact with. It's where all potential resides and from which all actuality emerges. It's the whole show, basically. And here's some truly profound wisdom offered by the sources, a deep insight into the nature of this unified consciousness. The best game, the infinite singularity, or entangled gravitational observers, ego, can play with itself is, I'm separate. It then immediately follows this with a powerful counterpoint, and it never wins, because it forever remains undefeated. This is a profound statement about the underlying unity of all things, even when the appearance is one of profound separation and individuality. It implies that the entire experience of individual consciousness, with its ego, its sense of distinction from others in the universe, is a deliberate, intricate play within this unified consciousness. It's like a single actor playing every role in a vast, complex drama. The illusion of separate characters is essential for the drama, for the meaning, purpose, interaction, choice, play that GQC enables. But ultimately, the actor knows they are all parts of the same whole. The phrase, "it never wins because it forever remains undefeated," underscores this fundamental unity. Even in playing the game of separation, the underlying entanglement is never truly broken. It's just temporarily obscured by the chosen perspective within the game. This means that our deepest sense of individuality, our personal story, is a temporary yet vital expression of a boundless, unified consciousness, always connected to the source. We're all expressions of this one thing, playing it being separate.
Wow, that concept of I'm separate game, that's really mind-bending. To think that our very sense of self, our individuality, is a chosen perspective within a unified whole. It changes everything. So if gravity is this ultimate architect, this GQC and the ultimate observer, what does that mean for our individual perception of reality, especially our experience of time and space? How does it affect us personally? It fundamentally alters how we understand our own existence and our place within the cosmos. Here's where it gets truly fascinating and personally relevant. The sources state unequivocally that your attentional reality is a gravitational construct. This means that the very reality you pay attention to, the world you experience, your beliefs about time, space, and even your personal narrative, your life story, are not external givens, but are actively shaped and constructed by gravity, and crucially, influenced by your specific state of knowledge. Time and space, traditionally viewed as universal constants flowing uniformly for everyone, are, according to this perspective, dilated constructs for gravitational consciousness to render experiences. This is a radical departure from, say, a Newtonian clockwork universe where time marches on the same for everyone. And, most importantly, these constructs are dynamically configured based on the state of knowledge of the observer.
Yeah.
So, your individual experience of how fast time passes or how vast or solid space feels isn't objective and universal. It's a dynamic, personalized rendering influenced by your internal state, your awareness, and your understanding. For a knowledgeable audience listening, this directly challenges the concept of an absolute, observer-independent space-time continuum, suggesting a far more fluid and subjective reality.
Precisely. And to illustrate this profound concept of varying perceptions, the sources give us the bucket example of two distinct observers, both existing within the same infinite consciousness, yet experiencing vastly different realities. One observer experiences anxious valence, perceiving themselves as a time-based entity suffering, where time feels concrete, linear, and oppressive, dictating their every moment. Life is a struggle against the clock, lots of stress. The other observer, however, experiences free valence, perceiving themselves as timeless consciousness, lucidly dreaming every scene. For them, time is a malleable tool, and reality is a fluid, conscious creation. These are described as two completely different textures of the same infinite consciousness, arising solely based on the observer's state of knowledge. This directly shows how your internal state, your level of awareness and understanding, fundamentally dictates the external reality you experience. It's not about changing the physical universe out there. It's about changing the perceptual universe within you. This variability extends further, clarifying that clocks tick differently and depth shimmers varyingly based on the gravity of the observer. What does this mean in practical terms? It means that physical depth can be perceived as an unyielding, solid reality, concrete and unchangeable, or it can be seen as a formless projection, akin to a lucid dream, where its solidity is an illusion. It seems solid, but isn't fundamentally. Similarly, time can either be experienced as a real thing I'm inside of, dictating and constraining one's existence with its relentless march, or it can be understood as how I create a scene starting and ending out of timelessness, a malleable tool for conscious creation, allowing one to expand or contract perceived duration. This distinction highlights the transformative power of perspective, influenced by what the sources call gravitational conscious mass. They contrast little gravitational conscious mass, which is associated with contraction, local realism, the illusion of separation, ego, greed, and conflict, with infinite gravitational conscious mass, which aligns with expansion, non-local realism, entanglement, unity, love, and prosperity for all. This isn't just a physical difference in mass, like weighing more. It's a profound shift in one's very being and the quality of perceived reality. It's about your state of consciousness, really. The profound wisdom here lies in the core message. Lie, separation is real, and truth, entanglement is real. If our individual stories, our perceived circumstances, and our physical forms are understood as solid and fundamentally real, the sources argue they are, in fact, projections, akin to elements within a larger conscious dream. Your state of knowledge, your level of awareness and understanding, is the ultimate determinant of your space-time world rendering. This has truly radical implications, even for something as seemingly concrete as space travel. The sources provoke us with the idea that conventional space travel, relying on rockets and immense distances, is, well, a primitive approach. Instead, space travel will be bending the medium to travel light years in one-foot step, rather than relying on rocket fuel. This implies a mastery over time-space dilation and the very solidity of reality. It suggests that an advanced gravitational consciousness could literally warp reality to achieve what we currently consider impossible, hinting that advanced civilizations or our own future exploration might involve bending the medium and cloaking probes through such gravitational mastery, essentially traversing distances by altering the perceived fabric of space and time itself. It's about becoming the architect of your journey, not just a passenger on a slow rocket.
Bending the medium. Traveling light years in a footstep. That's an incredible, almost unbelievable shift in understanding our own reality and our potential within it. It opens up a whole new realm of possibilities. Now, the sources invite us to take this even further, asking us to perceive reality from inside a black hole, or as it's provocatively and poetically called, a bang hole. What stands out to you when you hear that phrase, bang hole? It's certainly evocative. This isn't just about a physical location in space like a cosmic vacuum cleaner, but rather a profoundly conceptual key to unlocking how gravitational quantum consciousness renders appearances. It's presented as a metaphorical yet deeply experiential place from which to view existence, a fundamental shift in perspective. This radical idea pushes us to contemplate what existence would be like if our perception wasn't bound by the usual constraints of linear time and Euclidean space, of separate objects and distinct individuals. This bang-hole perspective is presented as crucial for understanding the deepest workings of GQC. It suggests that by consciously adopting this unique viewpoint, we can gain access to insights that are otherwise hidden and obscured by our everyday contracted modes of perception. It's about transcending the illusion of separation and accessing a deeper, unified truth. For those of us steeped in the conventional understanding of black holes as regions of immense gravity where nothing, not even light, can escape, this redefinition as a portal to absolute self-knowledge is a truly revolutionary concept, bridging the physical extreme with the ultimate spiritual realization. It's quite a leap.
It's a leap, yeah. And when perceiving from within this bang hole, the experience is described as a cessation of time and space and other entities and solidity in rendered appearances. Imagine that for a moment. Everything you perceive as separate, solid, and bound by linear time simply dissolves as fundamental distinctions. Poof. Gone. From this vantage point, all entities are perceived as one web singularity called you, co-rendering what's appearing. This is where the individual sense of self expands exponentially, encompassing everything, recognizing a fundamental indivisible unity in all existence. You are the singularity observing itself. The bang hole is therefore presented as absolute self-knowledge of entangled, infinite singularity of all observers. It is the ultimate key to becoming free, infinite, and everything becomes an appearance, meaning you realize that all of reality is a conscious projection, a lucid dream that you are an integral part of creating. This isn't about escaping reality. It's about understanding its true nature and your role within it, seeing the code behind the game, perhaps. The journey to this bang hole isn't passive or instantaneous. It's depicted as an active process of purification and conscious expansion. The observer zaps conditioning like a moth, buzzing around the bang hole flame until the diamond is free from impurities. The final event horizon gate opens, and absolute infinity is known. This is a powerful metaphor for shedding limiting beliefs, breaking free from ingrained conditioning, and dissolving egoic constructs that perpetuate the illusion of separation. Until one achieves a state of pure, unadulterated self-knowledge, seeing through the veil of perceived reality, it's a process of refinement, like polishing a diamond. The sources then draw a stark contrast between realities based on one's proximity to this bang hole perspective, not in a physical sense, but in a state of awareness. Further away from the bang hole corresponds to a contracted state of consciousness, characterized by entropy, disorder, conflict, violence, greed, and ego, where time feels oppressively real and depth is perceived as unyielding and solid. This describes a state of suffering, limitation, and fragmented understanding, stuck in the illusion. Conversely, perceiving from inside the bang hole corresponds to an expanded state of consciousness, characterized by negentropy, the tendency towards order, profound unity, harmony, love, interconnection, and prosperity for all. Where time feels unreal, a malleable construct, and depth is understood as a formless projection, a fluid aspect of conscious rendering. This describes a state of liberation, boundless creativity, and profound wisdom. This powerful metaphor serves as an ultimate guide for spiritual and conscious evolution, illustrating how a fundamental shift in perspective or state of knowledge doesn't just change your internal world, it literally alters the fabric of your perceived reality, moving you from a world defined by separation and struggle to one of unity, abundance, and conscious co-creation. It highlights that the ultimate journey isn't across physical space, but through states of consciousness. Toward that center points the bang hole.
What an absolutely incredible journey we've taken today. We've truly plunged into a deep dive into gravity, moving far beyond simple Newtonian mechanics and even Einsteinian spacetime to uncover its profound and active role as the conscious architect of our entire reality. It's a radical shift in perspective that challenges and frankly redefines everything we thought we knew about the universe and our place within it. I mean, really changes the game. We've seen how gravity isn't just a force, but the very bridge that intricately unifies physics, consciousness, and our moment-to-moment experience into one seamless whole. We've explored how gravity's apparent weakness is merely a matter of perspective, an illusion born from a contracted viewpoint, revealing its true cosmic power. It's not weak, it's just different. We've understood how it acts as the omnipresent canvas upon which quantum potential paints our universe, rendering every star, planet, person, object, and experience into being, using light and electricity as its primary tools. The artist in the art, in a way. And perhaps most importantly, we've touched upon the deeply personal idea that gravity isn't just some external, indifferent force. It's intricately linked to our own perception, our state of knowledge, and our level of conscious mass, making each of us an active co-creator, a participant in the unfolding of our own reality. We're not just observing the show, we're helping render it.
Absolutely. And to reinforce the ultimate wisdom embedded in these sources, gravitational quantum consciousness is not merely a theoretical construct. It's presented as a profound and elegant description of how infinite consciousness works. It's the mechanism by which this consciousness channels information into geometry and light, allowing us to explore infinite possibilities, make choices, and experience worlds within this grand, rendered reality. It's the operating system of existence, if you like. The sources argue quite forcefully that all this separation and segregation of disciplines is madness. They state that the rigid compartmentalization of fields like physics, consciousness studies, health, and even the development of superintelligence is actually the primary cause of civilizational technological stagnation and a lull in self-knowledge. We're keeping things in boxes that belong together. Consider this, you the listener. What would a truly unified society, a civilization guided by this profound understanding of reality, seeing all these seemingly disparate fields as one force being illusory, broken up into separate boxes, truly look like? How might we, as individuals and as a collective, begin to deflate the cost of basic needs, build more natural homes, stop being so greedy, unify, and ultimately facilitate more enlightenment by embracing this unified view? It's a question that doesn't just ponder the future. It challenges us to fundamentally redefine our present and our path forward, opening up avenues for advancements we can scarcely imagine when stuck in fragmented thinking. What could we achieve if we saw the connections?